Well, we were on the way to doing that. I mean, I would say we're in a pretty good position now, right? This is
No,
like,
we're not.
even though we
We
still have a lot of problems, this is like,
we don't have maternal health care. We don't have guaranteed housing. We don't have minimum wage or a good minimum wage or living wage. We don't have unionization. We don't have free college. We have nothing that makes it attractive to have a baby right now.
I mean, we can
And
we
I say
can
that as someone who's gonna have a baby.
yeah, I mean, we can say that and we can fight to change that, but regardless, society should never dictate, or apply pressure on the family as to like whether the new child they have is going to be a burden on someone else or on myself or on my future self.
You're
It
right,
should be
right. So
it
that's
should
why
be
abortion should be available. You just made the pro-choice argument.
Falsely thoughts, lies are pushed in place. No time to erase. I'll just keep the pace.
All right, Marana, you there? Or how do I say your name? Marantha, correct?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, Marantha. I have Lordy up here as well, and I have Onesie up here as well. All right, Marantha, how's it going? Are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes, and then I do disagree
With what?
with multiple things. I'm just trying to narrow it down here.
Sure.
Okay, abortion rights. What is your take on the abortion rights?
I think a woman should have a right to do what she likes with her body. I think abortions up until because an abortion is just really a termination of a pregnancy. So technically, it could be all 9 months. That doesn't mean you have to eliminate the baby. But I think up until about 24 weeks or 22 to 23 weeks, that's when I would say probably 19 to 20 weeks actually. That's when the brain starts to form and they actually start to have a unique conscious experience. So around that time, if a woman does choose to abort in that type of late term, it should be an abortion that keeps the fetus alive. But before that, it's whatever. I don't care. Did you hear me, Marantha?
I hear you. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that because it seems like you care about your community, right? And you care about the fact that there is mistreatment,
Yep.
because you value to some degree, life, right? And the uniqueness, aspect of life, right? And that should be protected and should be equal across the board, right?
Yep.
But like that you can't really sustain that or substantiate that if you say that it doesn't matter when when life begins, and also how we treat that life from the moment of conception onwards just doesn't align.
Yeah, it does. Because I value life, right? But I value like the personhood. Essentially, I value like the conscious sense experience, the personhood of the person. Now, I think that a fetus actually becomes a person once they have that conscious experience, which is around 20 to 23 weeks, around that time. Which is why I think if they do get an abortion, let's prioritize keeping the fetus alive. This is like a like a medical issue, like the fetus is outside the uterus or something like that. You can't keep it alive. I understand that. That's an unfortunate case. But if a woman does choose to have an abortion around that time, then prioritize the one that keep the fetus alive. You don't have to eliminate it. You see what I'm saying? Because that it has a conscious experience at that point. Before that, there's nothing there. There's no conscious experience.
Okay. I mean, I would say, consciousness doesn't take away the fact that pre-consciousness, they were still alive, right?
Yeah. So
So, I mean, but if we don't care about life, then you can't really, ground all the other, things you're against, which is like the mistreatment of, life, and in particular, certain life, right?
yeah, I can.
How there's a disconnect there.
What's the disconnect?
That if we don't care about life or when life begins and how that life should be protected once it begins, then why should we care about anything else? Why do I have to care? It seems like it's just subjective at that point.
It is.
Well, if it's just subjective, then how do you justify your outrage over certain things, right?
because
Especially the
people
things you were
because
just
people
discussing.
because people are being harmed.
But if it's just subjective, it really doesn't matter, right?
It
What's
does matter.
subjective to you doesn't, it has no bearing on someone else.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it
doesn't.
doesn't.
You don't have to care.
But we ought to care, right? Because
I think we do, because if we want to live in a happy, safe, productive society and environment, then we should care that people are happy, safe, and productive, and do things that foster that. But if you don't care to live in that, that's fine. But you're not gonna survive in this society long if you act that way. Everybody in the society acts towards the benefits of someone else, like no matter what. Like the reason, like if you're an electrician and you might be your job as an electrician, right? Is probably good for you because you make $70,000 a year and that's a good income, right? But your job as an electrician provides power to everybody else, so you're still working for the benefit of somebody else. All of us do. Like no one works for the benefit of themselves only to heck with everybody else. Every job in this society, probably except for CEOs, is to the benefit of somebody else. All of them, especially blue collar. So like when I say that you don't have to care, but we ought to care. If you want to live in a type of society that I want to live in, which I'm assuming most people do, you're gonna care.
yeah, that's why we should care about the life in the womb, because you have to care. You can't just say like what you said, it's whatever. That's not a good
Why sh-
position.
why shouldn't we care about the woman's autonomy over whatever's in the womb first?
Are you saying like bodily autonomy versus the right to life?
No, we all have a right to life. I just don't think that you have a right to life until you have a conscious experience.
Okay, yeah. So the right to life is conditional.
Yeah,
Okay. So okay. So
not completely. It's not complete. I'm getting an echo, by the way. It's not completely conditional, but I think it does depend on your conscious experience. That's for everybody, because a person who's in a coma and completely brain dead on life support, that's being alive kept alive by machines, that's a life. But we're still gonna unplug the machine, and why do we do that? Because they're brain dead, right? There's nothing there.
Because that's a life that's gonna go.
Hold on, Lordy. Not your. That's not your turn yet. It's Marantha's turn. Be patient. Right, Marantha?
yeah. So when it comes
Marantha, you went on mute again.
comes to life and death situations, I mean, the family would be the ones making the decision, not
Yeah.
necessarily society.
And in an abortion, the woman's making the decision, and she doesn't even make it alone. Like there's people who have relationships. Like it's not like, a woman gets pregnant by her boyfriend and she just decides to go off on her own. Like I'm sure in some situations that happens. You know what I mean? But like in most cases, in most rational cases, they're talking about it and knowing what the best decision is for them. Like that's gonna happen, right? So it's not like, people are just getting abortions willy nilly. This entire thought process of conservatives saying that there's huge abortion complexes with women just busting it wide open and getting abortions. That's not what's going on. That's what's happening. These are actually like prudent decisions that they make and think about. You know what I mean? They're just not just having it willy nilly, like going out there and just busting it wide open. You feel me? That's not what's going on. Like I think the reason why I bring that up, I know it's kind of silly for me to say that. The reason why I bring that up is because like whenever I speak to people about this subject, see people tend to think that women are just out here just getting pregnant and then going to the abortion clinic, you know what I'm saying, 6 months in and getting chopped up. Like that's not what's going on.
Yeah, that would be like very ill-minded people, I would say. But like I would say like most people that are pro-life kind of see the inequality of it, because it forces especially mothers and fathers, because sometimes they decide to do an abortion after the second or third kid. If it forces mothers and fathers, if they're in a low income setting or a position, it forces them to tragically decide not to move forward with bringing another child into the world. So that's like coercion, and then you also have that from from men too, because one of the ministries that my church works for is for the mental effect that abortion has on women after the abortion, and what we hear over and over again is like the boyfriend kind of pushed them into having the abortion, and they didn't even want to really. So
If
it's,
someone is like pro-choice, people will tell you right now, if someone is being pushed to have an abortion, we are against that. No one should be pushed to have that. Like we're against that because that's what choice is about. The woman's choice. She shouldn't be forced to have one. No one is for that.
yeah, but you're setting up you're setting up culturally, you're setting up an unfair situation where
What's
you're
the unfair situation?
that we're saying that when a woman finds out that she's a mother, she has to evaluate how much of a burden that's going to be on her and on the culture that she lives in, or the
Yeah.
community that she lives in.
That's
That
always going to happen. Like
and
if you don't want that, the thing is, if you don't want that to happen, how come we just don't set up a society where having children is easier?
Well, we were on the way to doing that. I mean, I would say we're in a pretty good position now, right? This is
No,
like,
we're not.
even though we
We
still have a lot of problems, this is like,
we don't have maternal health care. We don't have guaranteed housing. We don't have minimum wage or a good minimum wage or living wage. We don't have unionization. We don't have free college. We have nothing that makes it attractive to have a baby right now.
I mean, we can,
And I say that as someone who's gonna have a baby.
yeah, I mean, we can say that and we can fight to change that, but regardless, society should never dictate, or apply pressure on the family as to like whether the new child they have is going to be a burden on someone else or on myself or on my future self.
You're
It
right,
should
right.
be,
So
it
that's
should
why
be.
abortion should be available. You just made the pro-choice argument.
I mean, I guess we will agree to disagree, but like one other thing here, like what is your take on how Planned Parenthood kind of got started, and Margaret Sanger and specifically, knowing that she was a great believer in eugenics.
Yeah, almost every institution or like almost every institution and discipline we have in America was started by racist people. That's not surprising.
And can you give me another institution that was started by someone that was open about believing in eugenics, especially during the time that she lived in?
Gynecology.
Gynecology was started by someone who believed in eugenics.
Gynecology was started by an Advent racist who learned about women's vaginas by testing his slaves. Harvard, I think, was started by a racist too.
Okay, well, then you would have to kind of make.
You went on mute. I'm not sure what's going on with your phone, bro.
You would have to. So how do you reconcile that with the fact that it seems like Planned Parenthood sets up shop mostly in minority areas and in areas that have low income?
They don't.
Well, the numbers don't lie. Planned Parenthood opens more
They already
facilities
researched
in
this.
those
Planned
areas.
Parenthood is mostly near white neighborhoods, not black neighborhoods.
That doesn't. I'm pretty sure that's vice versa, but I guess I would have
It's
to
not
go.
vice versa. This has already been researched. That claim has been debunked for like almost 10 years now. Planned Parenthood is mostly by white neighborhoods. 60% of Planned Parenthoods are near white neighborhoods. 60%.
Can I research that real quick?
Can I jump
Go
in
ahead.
real quick, host? Can I
It's
jump
not
in?
your turn yet. He still has about 3 more minutes. Marantha, let me know when you come back. All right, y'all. Keep liking the live and keep sharing it. Appreciate you, Ding Dong. I see that you were over on my YouTube. You said I was echoing a bit. Let me know if that's better. I just turned off one of the tracks on the mic. Let me know if that's better, if I'm not echoing anymore. All right, y'all. Keep liking the live and keep sharing it. We're at 6,000 likes, 64 people in here. I appreciate everybody who's here. Johnny, I'm gonna bring you up next. Kay, I'm gonna bring you up. I know you're there, and we're gonna bring you up once we're at the end of the live. Everybody's gonna come up at the last 30 minutes. Marantha, I'm gonna give you about 1 more minute, and I'm gonna have to move on to Lordy. All right, actually, I can go ahead and do that now. Hey, Burger Stye, that 1350 thing is BS because black people do not commit 50% of the crime. Majority of the crime in this country is committed by white people. You're not reading the FBI statistics correctly. The 50 thing that you're talking about is talking about homicide arrests. Yes, 50% of black people, 50% of the homicide arrests are black men. However, it's also shown that over 50% of the exonerations of those same arrests are also black men. When it comes to arson, when it comes to assault, when it comes to robbery, when it comes to child P, when it comes to child assault, all those majority are white men. So black men are not committing 50% of the crime. And if you keep up with the racism, I'm just going to block you. All right, Lord.